The Pacific and Atlantic Oceans are separated from each other by the Americas, blocking water from circulating between the two across most of the Earth's latitudes. The only place where the two come into direct contact is past the tip of South America. Here, at the southernmost extreme of the inhabited world, lie the Strait of Magellan, the Beagle Channel, and the Drake Passage, which for centuries served as the only gateways between the world's two largest oceans. Let's explore. At South America's tip lies Tierra del Fuego, an archipelago carved by glaciers, creating three paths between the oceans on either side. The Strait of Magellan lies between mainland South America and the biggest island of Tierra del Fuego, aptly named Isla Grande de Tierra del Fuego, and extends westward through the archipelago. Between the Big Island and smaller islands to the south stands the Beagle Channel. The famous Cape Horn is on the southernmost of these outer islands. South of the archipelago entirely is the Drake Passage, separating South America from Antarctica. Politically, the land surrounding the straits is split between the Magallanes region of Chile and the Santa Cruz and Tierra del Fuego provinces of Argentina. The southern side of the Drake Passage lies on the Antarctic Peninsula, within the claims of Chile, Argentina, and the UK, and hosts several research stations. The Strait of Magellan is 1.2 miles or 2 kilometers wide at its narrowest point in its western parts, and 2.3 miles or 3.7 kilometers between the Big Island of Tierra del Fuego and mainland South America. The depth of the strait ranges from 92 feet or 28 meters to over 3,500 feet or 1,080 meters. The Beagle Channel is narrower at less than 5,000 feet or 1,500 meters between Argentina's Gable Island and Chile's Navarino Island, and shallower at 58 feet or 14 meters in the same area. The Drake Passage is essentially open sea, at over 500 miles or 800 kilometers wide, and over 3 miles or 5 kilometers deep. Around 20 to 40 million years ago, Antarctica and South America split apart, allowing water to circulate freely around the Antarctic landmass. This circulation through the Drake Passage has become the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, the world's largest ocean current, with a flow rate of over 100 million tons of water per second. The current largely separates the waters on either side, which leads many geographers to consider the Antarctic waters to the current south as an independent ocean, the Southern Ocean. The Strait of Magellan and the Beagle Channel were formed more recently by the glaciers and tectonic faults that carved Tierra del Fuego into the many separate islands that comprise it today. The first known human habitation in the area is at Cueva Fell, or Fell Cave, on the northern side of the Strait of Magellan, dating back to around 11,000 years ago. Before European contact, several distinct cultures lived in and around Tierra del Fuego, including the Aunikenk, the Coescar, the Selknam, the Manikenk, and the Yagan, the southernmost people group in the world. The first non-native voyage to pass through was that of Ferdinand Magellan, who in 1519 set out to finish what Columbus had started and actually find a sea route westward from Spain to Asia. Passing through the strait on November 1st, 1520, All Saints' Day, Magellan initially named the strait of All Saints, but people soon started calling it the Strait of Magellan. Magellan also named the Pacific Ocean for its comparatively peaceful waters, and Tierra del Fuego meaning land of fire for the fires he could see on the shore. Later in his voyage, Magellan would be killed in the Philippines, but one of his ships, the Victoria, would make it back to Spain with 18 remaining crew to complete the first circumnavigation of the globe. The Drake Passage was reached in 1525 by the Spanish explorer Francisco de Oces, after his ship was blown off course from the rest of its expedition as it attempted to pass through the Strait of Magellan. This is the origin of the Spanish name for the passage, Mar de Oces, the Sea of Oces. The English privateer Francis Drake supposedly suffered a similar diversion in 1578 on his own circumnavigation, lending his name to the passage in English. The first Europeans to actually transit the passage were the Dutch, led by Jacob Lemaire in 1616. The Beagle Channel was named for the British ship HMS Beagle, which did the first hydrographic survey of the channel in the late 1820s. The Beagle is best known for its second voyage, which also passed through the channel, hosting naturalist Charles Darwin. Although the Spanish tried and failed to set up a settlement along the strait in the 1580s, The first permanent settlement in the area by people of European descent was the Chilean military outpost of Fuerte Bulnes, founded in 1843, followed by the civilian settlement of Punta Arenas on the mainland side of the strait in 1848, today the region's largest city, with over 120,000 people. Ushuaia in Argentina, the largest city in Tierra del Fuego itself with about 70,000 people, was founded soon after by missionaries. The 1840s also saw the dawn of the Clipper route, on which cargo ships sailed from the UK to Australia and New Zealand, and back, using the strong winds and currents swirling eastward around Antarctica. Rounding stormy Cape Horn on the return leg was considered the most dangerous portion of the journey. The opening of the Suez Canal in 1869 and the Panama Canal in 1914 rendered the route unnecessary, but it still saw some commercial traffic as late as the so-called grain race of the 1940s. Nowadays, the Clipper route is used by recreational sailors, including several famous yacht races. Tierra del Fuego experienced a gold rush from about 1883 to 1906, during which time the population boomed, and, as is too common, the natives were pushed from their land and killed in active attacks. The economy of the region changed again when oil drilling began in 1949. In the following decades, the Straits saw a political prison camp set up by Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet on Dawson Island, territorial disputes that nearly brought Chile and Argentina to war, and the launching of military jets in the 1982 Falklands War between Argentina and the UK. Southern Patagonia today is home to hundreds of thousands of Chileans and Argentines. Despite the hardships they have faced, the natives are still around as well. The last native speaker of the Yagan language, Cristina Calderon, died in February 2022. Her efforts have helped the remaining 1,600 or so Yagan people preserve their cultural heritage. Around 2,000 ships pass through the Strait of Magellan every year, compared to the 14,000 or so that passed through the Panama Canal. So-called Cape-size vessels, that are too large to fit through the Panama or Suez canals, account for much of the region's total cargo. The Drake Passage in particular also serves as a vital gateway for the growing amount of tourism and scientific work in Antarctica. This is normally the part of the video where I discuss the idea of a bridge or tunnel across the strait, but there really haven't been any proposals for one. The Strait of Magellan and the Beagle Channel are certainly shallow and narrow enough that such a crossing could be built, but the small cities and towns in the region are currently served well enough by ferries. The Drake Passage is 500 miles wide and has an essentially uninhabited continent on one end, so it won't be getting a fixed crossing anytime soon. So these three southern straits have long provided a route for ocean currents, explorers, and global trade. And though canals have reduced their importance, the words that could be written about these straits would fill much more than just a single passage. And as always, thanks for watching.